At our wedding toast, my FIL raised his glass and said, "Here's hoping this one lasts longer than her last relationship." My husband laughed too loud. I smiled too hard and said nothing. 4 years later, I gave a toast at my sister's wedding. I looked directly at him and said, "Here's to marrying people who deserve your past, present, and future, not people who weaponize it." He never spoke to me again. Let me tell you about the moment I knew I would never forgive my father-in-law. It was on my wedding day. I was standing in a beautiful barn venue outside Asheville, North Carolina. We'd rented it because it reminded me of home, simple, warm, surrounded by trees and quiet. I wanted something peaceful. After everything I'd been through, I just wanted peace. My dress was ivory, not white. I remember that because my mother-in-law made a weird comment about it the morning of, like, "Oh, interesting choice. Some women don't go with white, huh?" She said it while sipping her tea, not even looking at me. I let it go. I had more important things to think about. The ceremony went fine. Nothing special, nothing crazy. Just vows, a kiss, and the fake smiling that comes from too many pictures. But the reception, that's where everything changed.
It was toast time.
My sister gave a sweet one. Mark's best friend Jake made a few jokes, but nothing mean. Then my father-in-law, Steve, stood up. Glass of bourbon in hand, belly pressed tight against his button-up shirt, and this big fake grin on his face. He tapped his glass and said, "Everyone, I just want to say something real quick." People quieted down. I remember grabbing Mark's hand under the table. I was nervous, but I thought it was normal. I assumed he was going to welcome me to the family. Steve looked around the room, raised his glass, and said, right in front of my family, my friends, my boss, even my childhood pastor, "Here's hoping this one lasts longer than her last relationship." There was a weird silence. I felt my stomach drop. The words hit me like a slap. Then Mark, my husband, started laughing. Like, really laughing. Not a soft laugh, either. Loud, from the gut, like it was the funniest thing he'd heard in years. A few people chuckled nervously. Most people just looked away. I smiled. I smiled so hard my cheeks hurt. Because if I didn't smile, I would cry. And I wasn't about to cry on my wedding day. I didn't say a word.
Not then.
But I felt something that day. Something that never really went away. Not hatred. Not right away. But a sharp, cold kind of silence. A wall went up in me. And I started paying attention. After the wedding, Steve acted like it never happened. Every time we saw them, weekly dinners, holidays, cookouts, he acted like I was one of them now. He'd slap Mark on the back, call me kiddo, and pretend that his little toast wasn't the most humiliating moment of my adult life. Mark never apologized. He'd bring up my past relationships in small, passive-aggressive ways. Once when I was quiet during a family dinner, he leaned over and whispered, "You always get like this when things feel too real, don't you?" That was something I told him in confidence, years before, when I was opening up about an old breakup that broke me. It became clear over time that my past wasn't off-limits. It was fair game. My pain had become a weapon, and they all knew how to use it. I started pulling back. I stopped talking as much at family gatherings. I stopped laughing at Steve's stories. I stopped trying to fit in. Mark noticed, but he didn't ask why. Or maybe he knew and just didn't care. 3 years into the marriage, I stopped sharing anything real with him. I told him what I needed to tell him, and that was it. I went through the motions. I stopped trusting him the day he laughed with his father at my expense. He started getting annoyed. Said I wasn't fun anymore. Said I was holding on to things and killing the vibe at family events. I told him I was tired, that I was stressed, that work was hard. But the truth was I was planning something.
I didn't know what yet.
But I knew I wasn't going to let them have the last word. A year later, my younger sister got engaged. She asked me to be her maid of honor. I said yes immediately. It was a small wedding, just 80 people, in a vineyard outside Austin, Texas. It was beautiful, intimate, loving. Her fiancé, Will, was a good man, quiet, kind, steady. The kind of man who never made fun of people's wounds. At the reception, her new husband gave a sweet toast. So did our mom. Then it was my turn. I stood up, holding a glass of white wine, and looked across the tables. And I saw him.
Steve.
Sitting there with his bourbon again. Same red face, same tight shirt, same smug smile. Mark was next to him, looking down at his phone. I cleared my throat and said, "To my sister and her new husband, may you always love each other the way you do now. May you protect each other, speak gently to each other, and always, always respect each other." People smiled, raised glasses. But I wasn't done. I turned my eyes straight to Steve and said slowly, "Here's to marrying people who deserve your past, present, and future, not people who weaponize it." It got quiet, dead quiet. Mark looked up. His smile faded fast. Steve's face went hard. I didn't look away. I let it hang there. The silence. The message. The memory. Then I smiled, lightly, and sat down. Neither of them said a word to me that night. Steve never spoke to me again. After that wedding, things changed fast. Steve stopped inviting us over. No Sunday dinners.
No texts.
No birthday cards. Nothing. Just silence. Mark didn't bring it up for almost 2 weeks. I think he hoped it would blow over. But one night, while we were cleaning up after dinner, he just snapped. He slammed a dish down into the sink and said, "What the hell was that at the wedding?" I didn't even flinch. I looked him straight in the eye and said, "It was the truth." He looked at me like I'd just slapped him. "You humiliated my dad in front of our whole family." I laughed, short and sharp. "Oh, like he did to me at our wedding? That was fine, right?" "That was a joke," he said, his voice rising. Everyone laughed. "No," I said. "You laughed. No one else did. And I died inside while you laughed with him." He didn't say anything at first. Then he picked up his keys and left. He didn't come home that night. The next few months were like walking through fog. We barely spoke unless we had to. When we did, it was cold, short, and stiff. He spent more time at work or with friends. I stopped asking questions. Then one night, his phone buzzed on the coffee table while he was in the shower. I wouldn't have touched it, but the name caught my eye. Cassidy, work, I don't know any Cassidy. And I've met most of his coworkers. It was a short message. Got the room for Tuesday. Let me know if you need anything else. My heart didn't drop. It didn't race. It just settled. Like something inside me had finally clicked into place. Like I had been waiting for the last piece of the puzzle to fall. I took a screenshot and emailed it to myself. Then I went into our joint bank account and started digging. Hotel charges. Restaurant bills in parts of town he never took me. Ubers that ended in neighborhoods we didn't live in. It was all there. Quiet, hidden, but obvious if you knew where to look.
He was cheating.
I didn't confront him. Not right away.
I wanted to be smart about it.
I started making copies of everything. Screenshots. Bank records. I got a separate checking account. I pulled half the savings into it. And then I did something I never thought I'd do. I called Steve. He didn't answer, of course. But I left a voicemail. Calm, steady. "Hi, Steve.
This is your daughter-in-law.
Just wanted to say thank you for the toast at my wedding. It taught me how your family handles pain. I just wanted you to know your son is just like you. Maybe worse. Maybe I'll raise a toast to that someday." I hung up. That weekend, I packed a bag and left. I didn't tell Mark where I was going. I went to my sister's for a few nights, then got an Airbnb across town. I filed for divorce that Monday. Quietly.
Clean.
With every receipt and message ready. I didn't even cry. But I wasn't done. Mark didn't even realize I was gone for the first day. I know that because he texted me around 4 p.m. "Hey, can you pick up more coffee on your way home?" I didn't respond. 2 hours later, another one. "Where are you?" Then, "Did you seriously just leave?" The next morning, he blew up my phone. Calls, texts, voice messages. "What's going on? Where are you? You're being dramatic." And finally, "Whatever. Stay gone if you want." I'm not chasing you. He didn't know yet about the divorce papers, or the evidence I'd collected, or the fact that I already had a lawyer. I let him spin in his confusion for 2 days. Then he got served. At his job. I made sure it was during lunch, when he'd be surrounded by his coworkers. The same people he used to brag to about how crazy his exes were. He called me that night. I didn't answer, but I got a voicemail. Are you serious?
Divorce?
You're seriously trying to ruin me? After everything I've done for you? You think I'm gonna just roll over and let you take half? You better lawyer the hell up. And then, silence.
No paledi. No ownership.
Just threats. A few days later, Cassidy called me. I didn't expect that. It was a blocked number. She sounded nervous. Is this Mark's wife? She asked. Not for much longer, I said. There was a pause. Then she said, I didn't know. About you.
I swear.
He told me you were separated. I could hear she was crying. Not sobbing, just quiet, embarrassed tears. He said you were crazy, she added. That you were paranoid and cold. That he was staying for the house and because you didn't have family. I sat with that for a moment. Then I asked, why are you calling me? I found your number in his email, she said. I wanted to say I'm sorry. And if you need anything for your case, I have screenshots. Receipts. Even his messages. He said awful things about you. I'm sorry I believed him. That's when I knew I wasn't alone in this. She sent everything over the next day. Messages from months back. Photos. Conversations. Even one where he said, she's lucky I even married her. Her baggage is a full damn luggage set. I gave all of it to my lawyer. And then I made a choice. I sent one final message to Steve. Turns out your son didn't deserve my past, present, or future. But I'm gonna make damn sure his future knows exactly what he did with mine. He didn't reply. But someone else did. A woman named Debbie. Steve's ex-wife. Mark's mother. Debbie messaged me late at night. Just a short, plain text. I believe you. Call me. I didn't even know they were still in touch. Mark barely talked about her, just said she was toxic and crazy. Same words he used for me once he got caught. I called her the next morning. She didn't waste time with small talk. I saw your message to Steve, she said. He's drinking more than ever. Blames you for the whole family falling apart. But let me tell you something, you're not the first woman he tried to humiliate. I sat there, stunned. She told me stories, how Steve used to mock her in front of friends, twist her past into jokes, and control every conversation. How Mark watched it all growing up, and learned from it. She said, you're lucky you're getting out now. Then she paused and asked, do you want help finishing this? I didn't answer right away. Because honestly, I didn't want revenge just to hurt them. I wanted the truth to stick. I wanted the lies to stop. I said, yes. Debbie gave me what I didn't have. Access to the older stories. The family secrets. Financial skeletons. The other women Mark had messed with before me. One of them had filed a report years ago when he smashed her phone during a fight. It never went anywhere, but the record existed. We gave all of it to my lawyer. Mark fought the divorce at first. He tried to hide money. Tried to say I was unstable. That I ran away and was trying to take him down out of spite. But when the screenshots, the financial lies, the cheating, and the old report came out, he folded. I got everything I asked for. The house, the car, half the savings. Clean split. No alimony. Just gone. But it didn't stop there. Cassidy filed a complaint with HR at Mark's job. They investigated. Turns out he had a pattern. 3 other women. Inappropriate messages. Drinks after hours. Just joking comments that weren't jokes. He got fired. Steve tried to defend him publicly on Facebook. Said I was out to ruin good men. Debbie clapped back under the post. With details. And then Cassidy's screenshots started circulating. In town. At bars. In their church group. Turns out when you raise a man to mock pain, lie without blinking, and laugh when others cry, eventually people stop making excuses for him. Steve shut up fast after that. But here's the part one didn't expect. 6 months after the divorce was final, I found myself staring at an empty living room. No more Mark. No more Sunday dinners. No more fake smiles or pretending to belong in a family that hated truth. It was quiet, freeing, but also lonely. I started therapy again, and I told my therapist the truth. I let it happen for too long. I let myself believe that if I stayed quiet, I'd be loved. She said, "You didn't stay quiet. You waited. Then you spoke." Still, I carry it. The shame of not standing up sooner. The guilt of smiling through that toast. Of marrying a man who laughed at my pain. Of not protecting my past better. I made mistakes. I stayed too long. I swallowed too much. But I left. I ended it. I didn't burn it down. They did. Mark lives 2 towns over now in a small apartment. Last I heard, he sells insurance. He's single. Most of his old friends don't talk to him. His dad still drinks. His mom is happier now that she's speaking up. Cassidy's doing better. She sent me a Christmas card last year. Me? I work from home. I volunteer at the women's shelter on weekends. I tell them, if someone ever uses your pain as a joke, walk away. That's not love. That's a warning. Sometimes I think back to that wedding toast. That smug grin. That bourbon glass. That laugh. And I smile now, not too hard, not to hide, but because I survived it.
And I spoke last.